Hello, this is David Dean, and we are back with an update of Challenge the Horde. I put out a video right at the beginning just to give you an overview at low level what's going on. And I wanted to give you an update just from my experience, what I've seen in the game people doing. I'm going to be talking about heroes, I'm going to be talking about base builds, and all that other fun stuff. Right away, I want to start off with what heroes I am seeing people using, and mainly ones used in unexpected ways. For this, soldiers are absolutely great. They definitely are putting out damage nonstop. And Outlander, like the Ranger, who specializes in pistols, is definitely good to have. But when it comes to unexpected ones, one thing I have started seeing people using is the Demolitionist. And the reason they're going for this is the decoy has an extended time on it and cannot be destroyed. It's going to last the duration of the charge on it without issue. And then they have their base down. They're standing on the area covered with their base. They are using explosive weapons. They have an increased reload speed on them, and their durability on them when they're standing on a piece of structure protected by their base takes 60% less durability. So they're just sitting there throwing down their decoy, bringing in everything to it, and blasting it with RPGs and grenade launchers. And if you really want to do it right, you use an RPG or grenade launcher that has very little or no impact. That way they're not getting sent flying. They're staying right up against the decoy. And then if you got soldiers, they're throwing down grenades. If you're Outlander, you're throwing down the Teddy and just doing damage to everything in the area. And this has been a lifesaver on missions that have husks that are death burst husks, which blow up all the trap tunnels when they die in them. And doing something like this can definitely be a lifesaver. If you have two constructors who have a decoy with an extended time on it, reduces the cooldown decoy by 10 seconds, grease the wheels, then you can basically have decoys going almost nonstop. You just have like a 4 or 5 second gap between them with just two constructors. And I really wanted to let people know about that. One other thing, though, I noticed, I love the quad launcher. If you do not know about this RPG right here, it shoots out rocket like an RPG. It doesn't do as much damage to start with, but it stuns the targets, so you don't have the targets flying backwards. But it also creates an area that basically is a fire pit for a little while. And it used to not set off propane tanks. And that's what I absolutely loved about it. And it's strange. In normal gameplay, it seemed like I did just yesterday. In normal missions, it sometimes would set off the propane and sometimes wouldn't. But in the Horde Bash missions, it is definitely setting off the propanes now, just to let you know. But I really thought that was a really interesting use of the Constructor Demolitionist in the Horde Bash. Another one would be great is the Controller or the Sentinel Constructor, just to be able to get all the mobs or all the husks into one small area and take them out with the weapons. And I'll be talking more about weapons as we progress in this. Ninjas, unfortunately, with that shield coming in that does constant damage if you are outside the shield, it really hurts the ninjas, which kind of sad to say. I do see some people using Ninja for the enhanced speed and the double jump in order to get out and build trap tunnels as fast as possible. But then once the shield comes in, they're kind of just holding back and sniping. And I should go back to constructors. Was really excited about the new constructor, which evidently I don't have on this account. So we will hop over here. And that is Vintage Tech Penny. I was really excited about this. Seemed like she had some cool powers. The thing is, one of the biggest things about her is her plasma pulse doing massive damage, which when you level it up to 25, it is great. You drop it, it does absolutely massive damage, taking out a ton of husk around it. But when you get to 30, Malfunction is a great name for this number 30 power, because it basically nerfs the power. And this is the first time I've ever seen them put out a hero where the level 30 power is right now one of the worst ones. Because when you drop the Plasma Pulse, what it would normally do is send out an area effect of green sparks that would do damage for everything coming in for a while. Now what it does is when you put down the Plasma Pulse, it explodes and it shoots out 8 grenades, basically grenades, little plasma balls. And the husk, the idea is the husk walk by them and they explode when they walk by. But the husk actually have to get right on top of them and actually touch them for them to explode, which is hardly ever happening. So yeah, this is not working extremely well. And yeah, they need to fix this. Malfunction needs to function. They have to change that up. Just give you a heads up on her. And while we are here, let's see. Well, no, we will go on back. But get back into the heroes. Outlanders. Outlanders are absolutely great for this. Mainly the 3 that specializes in their Teddy. They increase the damage of the Teddy, and I really got to say right now, I've always loved Ted Shot just slightly over the Grizzly Enforcer, but they changed it now where his Teddies can shoot out 8 tiles long. That is a huge difference, and I had the issue with my Ted Shot Teddies. A lot of times they would kill everything around them, and then they're just standing there because the mobs are too far away to attack. And now with the Grizzly, with the change they did on them, it goes out 8 tiles, which is the same as a turret. So now you can take out much more of those range mobs that before you couldn't do. The other big thing with Outlanders is they changed the phase shift, allowing you now to phase shift further. And when you complete the phase shift, you have a 30% increase to movement for 3 seconds. So when I am racing to every new fort or new spawn point in the mission, and I am always getting there first because of how fast I can move with this character, and I can throw up my trap tunnels and get them going much faster, which means I'm ready for when the mobs actually spawn. Now, when it comes to between the new guy, Wild Fragment Deadeye, which looked pretty good, and he specializes in Teddies, but he specializes in them by getting fragments. So basically, Wild Fragment is his title, and if you have fragments, he keeps up with damage with the Teddy okay with the Grizzly, but if you don't have a fragment, you drop off big time. And several other people have done some information on this. Morgan over in Split Screen just a few hours ago put out a video, and he came up with the same conclusion I did. And then Mox Rudy over on Reddit went through and did a ton of numbers, just computing different scenarios between the Enforcer and the Wild Fragment Outlander. And still, just comes up that he is a good Outlander. He's putting out good damage. But in every scenario, the Enforcer ended up doing more damage with his Teddy than the Wild Fragment. So, yeah, hate to tell you that. I was excited about the new heroes. I really thought the new heroes would be a little bit better than what they're actually turning out to be. But if you have an Enforcer or a Ted Shot, you are better off, in my opinion, than the Wild Fragment guy. But just wanted to bring that up. Also, I've had multiple missions. People coming in with Pathfinder Jess because they think they can gather materials in the Horde bash missions to build with. No, you can't. So, and really, that's the only thing the Pathfinder is good for. Pretty much everything else in the game is better for doing damage and getting around. And then one other thing with the Enforcer that makes him good is he has 2 perks that helps him with his shield. Shield boost, increase maximum shield 20%, And then with his phase shift, let's see. Oh, all right. Phase shield. Phase shift forces the shield to regenerate for 4 seconds, even if you're taking damage, but only at 20%. Which, with that shield and closing in, what I love to do is shoot out with phase shift, use my 30% enhance and run speed, drop my Teddy back at the spawn point or a turret, and then phase shift a second time with enhanced speed and get out of there before I get hit by blaster fire. And it works absolutely great. And they gave Outlanders another phase shift charge. You usually start with 2, now you have 3. And so we will get off of that. For soldiers, just anything that is doing massive damage. If you have one that specializes in weapons, it is great for taking things down. If you are using something that specializes in abilities, Carbide or Master Grenader, still all good on that. But I just wanted to show you some that people don't think of right away as being great for it, but actually work out pretty well. Major issue with the Horde Bash, I am trying to do the higher level ones, but every time I go in to try to get with a random group, there is a level 13 or 20 in there, and they have to fix it. They knew this about the Horde Bash from the first time they ran it, and they should have known. And it's an easy fix, because the only way they can get into the higher level missions is to be carried over by somebody that's already able to get in there. So all you got to do is make it anybody carrying somebody who isn't qualified to be in the level they're going into. You set up a private mission. So if they want to go in there and help their friend, then they can invite their own friends to help on carry their low level friend. And then the people trying to do the mission with people that are the appropriate level can, without those people jumping in. It's an easy solution that people have been telling to Epic for basically a year now, and they're still haven't figured it out. But anyway, all right, I'll get off my soapbox there. And this is my fort. Previously, on the first challenge of the Horde, having a strong fort was absolutely critical. It wasn't a question of if your fort was going to get overran. It was just a matter of when it was going to get overran. This time they're giving you so much materials. It's really more about crafting those materials, weapons, and trap tunnels than it is about the fort. So, like originally, I recommended in your skill tree doing the fort ones first and then doing the lower ones later. But in truth, the way they have it set up this time, you're kind of better off having more weapons, more trap tunnels, and stuff like that. For the forts, I've seen dozens of amazing builds. One person just built a giant llama, and we still were able to defend it without an issue. For me, what I care about, a lot of people build bunker builds and try to just put as many layers of materials between their amplifier and the spawn points. For me, I want it as open as possible so I can take out all the mobs with my Teddy, with the turrets, and shooting, and being able to move around easily. Also, with that shield moving in, it makes it so the shield will come up to the very edge of your fort. So the people that have it totally walled off all the way around make it really difficult for people to stay alive. So this is how I have mine set up. Not as critical in this Horde Bash with the way people are building, unless you're doing missions 20 to 30 levels higher than yourself. But just to let you know how I have this set up, if you have your control panel here, you are going to get you cannot get attacked from the north or west, or you won't have spawn points to the north or west. Let's say that. So for here, you have it to the east and south that you're going to be attacked from. So this is where I build it up the most. I went with the inverted Atlas build, and this is something totally different in Challenge of the Horde missions as opposed to regular missions. In regular missions, I can leave this open and nothing can walk in there. No issue, no problem. They have to beat down the metal to get through. Not so in Challenge the Horde, found out. In Challenge the Horde, if you don't have anything there, they'll walk in. If you have just one piece there, it will stop them from going through. They won't even try to bash on it. They will come over here and try to bash through the metal. I put up 2 of them just because that way it doesn't freak out other people. And yeah, so if you're doing the inverted build here, you have to have something up here to stop Hus from just walking in. Don't know why it's different in Challenge the Horde, but it is. Also, I've had people try to help me out by running over and putting up a wall like this. And then the smashers charge the wall they put in. Please don't do that. I also had people change that to a full tile so they could put a dynamo on it, and then smashers saw the full wall and came over and charged it, totally destroying everything. So yeah, you don't want a wall that close. I've seen a lot of people do the, I think it's the Sly Gumby build with corners on it out a little bit away. No issue, no problem. You just can't do it right up against the 45s here. I'll let you know about that. But for my build, since I know they're going to come in from this direction or this direction, I have traps, and I did go through, and like these are 3-star traps, level 67. So they're a little bit lower than normal for me, but I had extra resources. So why not use up every single resource I possibly can? Same thing with the wooden floor spikes. The main thing people use this for is not damage, is for reducing target speed by 30%. And it doesn't matter if it's a level 1 or a level 130 wooden floor spike. They all reduce movement speed by 30%. So if you have these, go ahead and put them down wherever you can at whatever level you can. Also, when you get done, chances are there isn't all that many uses for flowers. And so I was able to craft healing pads for the back. I've seen a few people do the campfires, which seem not to work if you do that. So definitely do the healing pads. Although with the campfires, the graphic of them stays, even though they don't do any healing. And then I love lobber screens. So I just have this massive lobber screen up here. If you get the northeast placement in Challenge the Horde, there is a cliff face that will come up right against the edge here. So I made these into half floors. And the same thing was true down here. That's why I don't have a ceiling piece on the first floor, because there is a cliff edge that comes up right against it, and they can just walk across that all the way to the objective. But I love having this up here, jump up here, and I have the boost pads on every corner and halfway through every side, so I can launch myself over to the spawn point, or I can launch myself over to the next objective. And then heading down here, I have a love-hate relationship with defenders and defender pads, because they're great at doing additional damage, but they can set off propane tanks. So just let you know, if you're using defenders and there's propane coming in, there's a good chance you're going to be blowing up everything. So just going to put that out there. But yes, this is how I set it up. Try to use maximum every single material I possibly could. And one other thing, just to let you know, I'm running around here with my Enforcer. The new Enforcer Grizzly, I said with 8 tile range, that is a range from here to that control box. That's how far the Teddy is shooting out now. So that is definitely a reason why I enjoy playing the Enforcer more now, and why I highly recommend them to you. So there you go. That is my build, and trying to think of other things about what's going on right now with the Horde. But the main thing, it's absolutely killing it. I keep going into missions. I prefer playing with random people, because that's how I learn more, by playing with different people in the game. But going in and doing it that way has been almost impossible when you are trying to do the more difficult challenges. And right now I'm up to challenge 18, and I know a lot of people are much, much further than that. So let me know your comments about the Horde. Heroes you have found do extremely well. Any things that work in the Horde differently than work in normal missions like I had mentioned, and how you prefer to do your builds and other things going on. So there you go. Take care. Have an amazing day, and I hope this helped.